Hello, friends. Today I had the wonderful opportunity to attend a live reading of the Mueller Report in Queens, New York, Long Island City specifically. This was put on by a cadre of actors where they would bring in people to read small increments of the report, and they were going to be doing it over a 24-hour span. It started at 8 p.m. last night and should, as of the time I'm recording this, end within 90 minutes or so. But they went through the entire thing, and obviously I wasn't going to torture myself and sit there for 24 hours. So I went this morning/afternoon to at least bear witness to some of it. I was actually going to go last night for the kickoff, but then I had an unfortunate incident where I went to go unlock the outdoor lock in my building, and then I guess I kind of twisted the key in a weird way, and the end of my key broke off as I was turning the lock. I've never experienced that before, so that was kind of a George Costanza moment for me. But I decided that I didn't want to risk being locked out of the building late at night if I got back late. So I decided, you know what, I'll just go for like the brunch period on Sunday of the reading. And so sure enough, I went there. It was at this kind of, what's the word for it? This studio or this event space in Long Island City that it was like, it had all the trappings of the classic kind of like industrial repurposed venue. You know, so it has the classic gritty look, but it had combined with modern, trappings and whatnot. The New York, the outer borough New York look. And I was sitting there watching these actors read portions of the Mueller Report, and there was I at one point I counted the number of people who were sitting in the audience section watching this, and it was 10, including me. And I just thought to myself, if the circumstances under which we're belaboring are so dire, if there's really this existential threat that can only be rectified through impeachment or through some other extraordinary tactic, wouldn't you expect an event, a live reading of the Mueller Report that was advertised all over the place? I saw it because there was a New York Times article basically promoting it. Playbill, the what, I don't even know if is it a media outlet? Whatever Playbill is, they promoted it. They make the programs for Broadway shows, or I think I haven't been to a Broadway show in a really long time, but I know that that's what Playbill is known for. And other top entertainment outlets and political outlets were touting this event. And I go there again. It's probably a less popular time period to go, but still, if we're in the midst of an emergency and everybody's so engaged and is so insistent that something dramatic needs to be done that they want to have this literally dramatic, in the sense of drama, reading of the Mueller Report by bringing in actors and musicians to read from it, then why were there only 10 people there? You would expect it to be filled to the brim, wouldn't you? I would think, especially in a place like Long Island City, which is like the perfect demographic for big turnout for an event like this. It's a lot of, urban, affluent whites who are, creatives who loathe Trump and would be inclined to come out to an event like this. And there were some of them there when I was there, but not very many. So I sat there and watched for about an hour. That was all I could take. I mean, I'm not that much of like a masochist. And then, I watched them read from, like, I don't know if you've read the Mueller Report, which you should. I know, like, their mantra is everyone must read the Mueller Report. That's why we'll have a public reading of it with actors so people will actually sit there and listen to it. I hear a lot of people urging that you should read the Mueller Report because you'll be shocked at how horribly it portrays Trump. And yeah, there is some stuff that reflects badly on him, but it's not stuff that's surprising at all if you have any familiarity with Trump's persona. I recommend people read it because of how thoroughly it disproves the fundamental premise of the investigation, which was that Trump colluded with Russia. That's emphatically undermined by the report, namely Volume 1. Volume 2 is like a different can of worms. But Volume 1 was the whole reason for the investigation in the first place. It deals with collusion or conspiracy. So yeah, I agree that people should read it. It seems like a lot of people want to posture as though they've read it. So that's why they're buying books, like commercially produced versions of the Mueller Report. Alan Dershowitz provided, an introduction to one of them, and I actually asked him during our podcast the other day, don't you feel like these commercial publishing houses are putting out book versions of a public document that anybody with an internet connection can access? He's like, yeah, everybody can access it, but, whatever. If they want to read my introduction, they have to pay $8. Well, okay, I guess. But I think a lot of people just want to. I think he was right in suggesting that people are buying it more as like a political act, or because they want to vote with their wallet, and they want to display it prominently because it signifies that they're an informed, engaged citizen in their mind. And yeah, I think it is relevant, obviously. So you should read it if you want to, or if you feel like it would be a worthwhile use of your time. I don't know that it would be a worthwhile use of time for most people, which is why you have to rely on people who actually do this stuff day after day and have, are aware of the context needed to interpret various things, have a critical eye, have some, not expertise, but a breadth of knowledge that they can use to incorporate into their analysis of the report. And, I'm not trying to hold myself up, but I've been following this very closely for years. So I was, positioned to be able to provide independent assessments of what was contained in the report. Whereas your average person, I don't know, if all they're doing is picking up tidbits about Trump, Russia, Mueller, blah, 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 every day from the media, is it really worth their while to sit there and read a 448-page report? I don't know. It's very dense. In Volume 2, there's a whole, I kind of wish I was there when they went through the incredibly dense parts of Volume 2 where it's all about, citing Supreme Court precedents and just a very opaque legal discussion around the issues at hand. I was there when they were reading the section about Trump trying to get Corey Lewandowski to supposedly fire Sessions, at least Trump wanted Corey Lewandowski to go and tell Rosenstein that Sessions was conflicted or something, that maybe I'm messing this up, but here's what it was. Lewandowski was told by Trump to go tell Rosenstein that Mueller was conflicted and therefore shouldn't be special counsel. Whether that was actually a direct order from Trump to have Mueller fired is in dispute. But Trump had been saying on Twitter that Mueller was conflicted because he was an angry Democrat, because he had a membership to one of Trump's golf courses and wanted a refund at some point because he moved or whatever. Anyway, it was that section that I saw being read. And it's just bizarre to hear tweets being quoted and all the various minutia in that report being performed in a public setting it's kind of incongruous and comical. I was actually sitting. There was one point actually I found this obnoxious. One of the actors, I guess he was, kid. I don't know if it was his son or what, but they got the man and the kid, he was probably, I don't know, 12 or 13, something like that. They alternated reading, and you had the kid there, like, reading these quotes from Trump about Russian witch hunt and, Manafort and why aren't they investigating Hillary and that kind of stuff. And I was literally sitting there laughing because it's just straightforwardly comical for this kid to be reading aloud this arcane Mueller Report material that, like, doesn't lend itself to a public performance at all, much less from a child. But I don't like when kids are indoctrinated into political endeavors, whether that's on the right, left, anywhere in between. I feel like kids should be given the tools to develop their own analytical capacities and the ability to think for themselves. And then they should make their own determination as to what they want to do politically or in any other field. And I just don't think that a 12-year-old really can make those independent determinations, at least to participate in a public event like that. Maybe the kid on some level did want to participate, but at that age, you're inevitably going to be prone to the influence being exerted on you by adults. So my approach would just be, leave the kid alone. I guess if he's really insistent and he had the idea that he wanted to do it, okay, maybe, but I don't know. I kind of doubt that it was just entirely on his own volition, although I don't know for sure. Either way, it was depressing to watch a kid there reading passages about, sessions and stuff. But these people feel like they have the moral high ground always. And, if I were at a right-wing, I've been to right-wing gatherings where kids play a similar role. Like, I've been to hardcore evangelical events in the South where kids are put on a pedestal, where they obviously don't have the independent ability to form their own judgments about political or religious matters, and the adults orchestrate it. And because they feel like they automatically have the correct moral outlook, and therefore it's not indoctrination in their mind if the kids are kind of like coerced into participating. I just don't like that. I can still remember being a kid and like adults attempting to exert influence over me in that regard. Not really political influence, but just the inevitable power dynamic between an adult and a kid. Like, they know better than you, or so they think, and if you don't agree with them or whatever, that's just because you're a kid, right? I always found that obnoxious. So, like, whenever I interact with kids, I basically interact with them as if they were adults, even like 5-year-olds. Like, obviously, I'm not going to ask an overly complicated question to a 5-year-old or whatever, but I try not to talk down to them or condescend to them, because I just remember hating that as a kid. And maybe in a sense, allowing this 12-year-old to take part in a adult-oriented political event if he wanted to is the opposite of condescension. But it would depend on whether it was done totally freely, or on his own free will, or if it was in any way coerced out of him. I guess I should have asked him about it, but like I wanted to get out of there. Frankly, I knew I had to get out of there when the speakers read for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, or whatever, and the next speakers would kind of be congregating. And I saw a guy with like long hair and a beard and a guitar come, and like as if he was going to be one of the next speakers, or like I guess he was going to sing portions. And I was just like, all right, I have to get out of here now. I couldn't take it anymore. Excuse me. But yeah, I think as silly and trivial as stuff like this can come across as, it does at least indicate that there is pressure mounting that's not going away, will probably only intensify for impeachment. I know I've been harping on this theme, but I got to get it through people's heads. You think, no, there's no way this is happening, blah, blah, blah. More and more Democrats in the House each day, endorse it. Nancy Pelosi was at the California State Democratic Convention this weekend with virtually all the Democratic presidential candidates, except notably Biden, who I guess was resting. And when Pelosi, during her speech, commented on the allegedly obstructive acts that Trump committed, she was drowned out by chants from the crowd to impeach, impeach, impeach. And I think there's only so much of that she can withstand. And yeah, some people in Long Island City having an event like that is not going to automatically change Pelosi's behavior, but it builds over time. It becomes, it snowballs. So I think stuff like this actually does have an effect in a way, even though it can come across as ridiculous. I always try to remain cognizant of the fact that I'm not the audience for this, right? I have my own set of views about Trump, Russia, Mueller, etc. So therefore, it's not me that they're trying to energize and motivate to act on these issues. It's another target audience. So I have to kind of separate my own personal views from like an analysis of the broader cultural or political effect that events like these have. And I actually do think it's contributing to a climate which is ineluctably going to have to culminate in at least the initiation of impeachment proceedings. And the certainty that we're going to be dominated by Trump Russia for the foreseeable future. Just like we have been for the past 3 years, not going away. I also, when I'm at events like this, I don't like to be overly mocking or scornful of the specific individuals. I feel like that's not a productive frame of mind to be in, where I just want to be making fun of people. It's maybe inevitable if I feel like they're 100% misguided and wrong and even a little foolish, but I at least strive not to be overly scornful in that respect. Because again, I just don't think it lends itself to fruitful analysis, because it can mean that you're interpreting a skewed, you have a skewed prism through which you're viewing this stuff. That's why pundits are so bad, because they have their own filtration system through which data, experiential and empirical data, comes at them. And it's filtered in such a way that aligns with their own personal beliefs. And what I try to do is, I have my personal beliefs and I try to be maximally transparent about them. But I also want to be able to analyze stuff in as impartial a manner as possible. So even if there's an outcome that I don't support, I can recognize if that outcome is likely, right? And I apply that, to the presidential race, to other political issues, etc. Anyways, that's why I went. I like to have bizarre experiences like that. But I fully understand if anybody watching this cannot relate to that instinct at all. I long ago accepted that I'm anomalous in numerous respects. But that's okay. Life goes on, and I will talk to you later.